strike and 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 strike until you have victory.
We are recording.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is Barry, watching the Borderline Hostility podcast. With me today, my boy D, my man Will, throbbing.
Enough of that bullshit. Hey guys, I crapped myself on the exercise bike yesterday.
Nice.
Okay, what happened? I was playing Super Metroid like I've been doing, and I was about a half hour into the bike ride, and I felt this enormous pressure build up in my stomach. I was like, okay, I'll just relieve it. Like, no big deal. I'm by myself. The fire exit opened, and everything ran toward the fucking door. Shit was rolling out of my shorts. I tried to catch it and spoon it back up with the bottom of the shorts. It didn't work, and I was penguin walking to the bathroom, and I slipped on the towel that was on the floor.
Oh.
And I ended up, I tried catching myself, and I ended up letting loose of the bottom of the shorts. So, and I heard the plop of the shit on the floor. It was all liquid, and I got to the can. I evacuated, and I thought I was done, and I tried wiping, and I kept wiping and wiping it, but that wasn't, there was stuff coming off, but it wasn't, I didn't feel fresh or dry at all. So I just hopped in the fucking shower, right? So I'm in the shower, and I'm trying to clean myself up, and I think I got it under control. I'm like, okay, well, workout's over with. I obviously can't get back on a bike like this. So and every time I shower, I brush my teeth. Like, you know, I clean myself up and I'm brushing my teeth. I'm brushing my teeth, and then I smell the mint and of the toothpaste, and the mint triggers me to sneeze. I end up sneezing, and when I sneezed, I shot out an exclamation mark of shit on the shower wall behind me.
Was that like a celebratory shit or what? Like,
it was like, hey, you thought you were done, asshole? You thought you were clean? Not clean this up, motherfucker.
But you didn't clean it up, right? It's still there.
Oh, it's still there. Yeah, why bother? It's my bathroom. I mean, who the fuck cares?
I mean, you're gonna shit yourself eventually, like soon. You shit more on yourself than anyone I've ever seen that's not like an invalid in a nursing home. It's amazing.
No, what happened?
So many good shit stories.
Well, that's the thing. I have way more shit my pants stories than a man my age should have. But but the thing is, I'm convinced that more people do it. In fact, I think it's a vote. I think that public service announcement here, besides wear a mask and don't be a cunt, any young man out there that might feel like they lack confidence in things, the next time you talk to a young lady who's beautiful and who thinks out of your leg, just think about her one time. She's got to be at a stoplight, and she's going to fart, and she's going to spray the inside of her panties with shit. That puts you on equal footing.
Now, even better, she's wearing a thong. It just makes it like a spread gun.
I mean, it humanizes everybody because everybody has to go to the bathroom, and everybody's gambled and lost. Like, they're thinking, okay, I can make it. If I could, I could stop at the gas station right now and fix everything, or I could go the extra quarter mile to my house. And that extra quarter mile, when you have to shit yourself, when you have to go shit, feels like it's 100 miles uphill.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been driving home and been 15, 20 minutes away from home when I was sick as shit. And just fucking happens. Nothing you can do about it. Unless you're going to pull over and run in the bushes within 30 seconds.
My previous job with that drive that I had, using the parkway where I think there's 25 miles of no exits. It's a really long stretch with no exits whatsoever. I really had to check myself before I left town, before I left my employment, because I was just like, if I get halfway and I've got 20 miles between here and the next gas station, I guess I'm shitting in the woods, I guess. But, you'd think I'd have kept some TP in the car or something, but it was a scary sight.
Whenever I would go home to my mom's house, there's this beautiful stretch of road. It's in Paris, Kentucky. And they have there's a median that's It's about the size of a football field, like from one side of the road to the other.
Yeah.
And for a while, they used to have porta potties there. And I always wondered, like, was that there just for courtesy people? Because there's a long way, but both ways to go to the bathroom. Or was it there for some construction workers? And also, how crazy would it be to go in the middle of the night to use that restroom? To use that porta.
I fucking hate that road. I hate that drive because it like goes like from 55 to 45, from 55 to 45. It's like no reason whatsoever, and it's just fucking long as shit. It feels like it takes an eternity to get down that stupid road. Paris Pike.
Yeah. Yes.
But
anyway, we had an election this week, guys. I don't know if y'all saw it or anything.
No, I never saw any of that.
yeah, I heard some rumblings about it, but
I mean, clearly we had a president the night of the election, I'd assume.
Yeah, I guess you can call it that.
It's like I saw a good one where it's like, I don't know what America's problem is. Like here in Russia, we know who won 2 weeks before the election.
Oh my gosh, it's been a whirlwind here at the house because I mean we've been watching it, and the night of, you're watching it and going, I don't know how's this going to turn out.
Well, yeah, I know there was some issues there because you're obviously a Biden fan. I remember you said your wife like all week has been wearing like a MAGA hat with like one of those little things you can like blow on that spin around that says.
Oh sure, yeah,
MAGA.
Yeah. No, not at all, But no, we were watching it with this holding our breath. Just what was going to happen. Everybody said a month ago we knew mail-in ballots was going to catch up, and it was going to be an early Trump lead, but still you didn't know, and they kept saying, well, we'll get 1 million left to count, and we think it's going to be like 70% blue, but we don't know. And
yeah, Bernie called it like a week early. He was on like Jimmy Fallon or something, and pretty much said exactly what was going to happen.
I mean, let me get all the news.
Which, of course, was the Democrats' plan the whole time, right? To steal the election.
Yeah.
Because he was in on that's how he knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know why Trump didn't have more mail-in voters. It's not like he spent weeks saying that mail-in votes were no good and that you had to vote on election day. And, like, and he didn't try to rig it so mail-in ballots wouldn't get in time.
I was going to say, I think the irony is that the Republicans did about as much as they could to steal the election before it happened. And so, you got all these places where they cut polling places and made people either drive really long distances to the polling places or else, had to get in, there's people in like 2, 3, 4 hour lines to get to vote. So you have that. And then you have your president that says, don't vote by mail, go in person on election day. It's like, how many of his people showed up and saw the lines and they're like, fuck that, I ain't waiting in line for 3 hours. And it was too late to vote by mail.
Well, and also like, so me and Dee live in the same town. It's a little small town.
Yeah.
It's been red for a bazillion years since before the color red existed. We were red here. And I didn't know until the day before. People were asking me at work, what about my polling? Where do I go? It's the same place as always, right? Well,
Yeah.
The day before, I found out that like it was a smaller list. It was a limited list even here. Like we live right on the corner from Firehouse, and that's our usual location. There's 2 firehouses right next to each other.
Yeah.
I think one's city, one's county, and they weren't on the list. I'm pretty sure it was strictly schools this time around.
Well, I know the governor's race. What I heard was the problem was finding people to man the stations because pandemic. And what's funny is for this election, my mom actually manned one of the stations, or was one of the people at the stations.
Woman, the station.
Yeah, there you go. Got to be PC.
Oh, yeah.
What was your all's experience going up to vote? Or did you all vote in person? Did you mail in?
Fuck that. I voted by mail.
Man, I voted the primary, like, where I had to go to, I keep calling it Commonwealth, but it's not Commonwealth anymore, Kroger Field. And I was there for like 4 hours.
Shit.
And I was going to skip it, but I was just thinking, you know what? Because I voted for Bernie and I voted for Booker. even though I was pretty sure both of them were going to lose, but I was like, you know what? I'd hate to like hear the voting totals and hear that like, well, Booker tied Amy, so we're just gonna give it to her because she ran before, like so yeah, so I made myself do it, and then I was like looking at the line, and it was miserable because. And it couldn't be clearer instructions. They go, all right, here's the pen. You go fill it. Here's your number. You go set the table. Fill the pen out. Drop the thing in here. Keep the pen or throw it in the garbage. And there were so many people I saw that like they couldn't understand this. I mean, there's
Yeah.
and what sucks is if you can't follow basic instructions, your vote shouldn't count the same as people who can.
Well, it's like when I was doing interviews for a job that I was hiring, basically, that was going to work underneath me, and I got some of these resumes, and it's like they were pretty good, job histories and stuff like that, but then there's like grammar issues and misspellings and stuff. And I remember I was talking with somebody there that was kind of overlooking things with me too. He's part of the decision committee. Whoa. And and I asked him about that, and he's like, "Look, man," he's like, "your resume is like the one thing you should get right, like perfect." It's like if they can't even do that, then like, what else can they not get right? They can't even get their fucking resume right. And what's funny is like 3 days before the election, I went to the courthouse to get my car registrations. No, shit. I was dropping off my mail-in ballot. That's what it was. So I went to drop off my mail-in ballot because they had a box there. And I went up there, and dude, so the building is kind of like a
it's a plus sign.
Yeah, it's like a plus sign. I always want to say it's like a military cross or something, but it's not. It doesn't have one long leg. So yeah, it's like a plus sign, and it's not that big. And I'd say there was at least 200 people there, and they were all lined up on both sides of the wall through the entire building, and then around the side. And I think I don't remember, but I think the vast majority, if not everybody, had masks on, but they're all like elbow to elbow. So like no social distancing whatsoever, which the one thing I could say is I'm glad it's at least for a good cause. They're going to vote. That's important. It wasn't like they're out partying and everything, but that might have turned me away from voting in person if I pull up and it's like, oh, look, I'm going to be in line for 4 hours scrunched between people. Like that's a fucking long time to get exposed.
I went up there. It's pretty militant in terms of how they ran it and like where you stood. But there was only like 5 or 6 of us. I mean, I'd assume once you get a mob up there, it's probably gonna get out of hand because no one's gonna just fucking yell at a mob. Like,
Yeah.
this is there's gonna be some asshole in the crowd that's like, I'm not gonna do this.
I ain't wearing my mask.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we got in. We went like a couple hours. I think it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. So, in, out, took us 10 minutes tops, and knocked it out. Felt good. Sticker on. You have that sticker. It doesn't count if you don't have the sticker on.
Yeah.
You have to show what you voted.
Shit, man. Voting by mail was. What's funny is if you don't read it, the voting by mail can be a little confusing, and I always say because of the signatures. It's like, what the fuck? I have to get two signatures or witness signatures, and that's only if like you can't sign your name. If like all you can do is, I guess you're super crippled or bedridden. If you can only, draw an X, then you have to have 2 witnesses. But if you actually read it, it very plainly explains it. I mean, shit, the ballot came in and it had instructions on the ballot itself, and then it had a separate sheet that was like a little more obvious. I mean, all I had to do was like, fill in the boxes of my votes, just like, you would do in a station. And then you fold it up, put it in an envelope, sign that, then put that in another envelope, sign that, and you're fucking done. Like, I can't think of any reason to fucking vote in person ever again.
It's a lot easier. I mean, and plus with the mail-in ballots, as Republicans say, I mean, you can vote now or when you're dead. So it's really nice. You can't really vote. You can't vote when you're dead in person. It makes it hard. Things you try to like.
Yeah, I mean, like weekend at Bernie's-ing people is kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
It's not as easy as in the movie.
Yeah, melon bouts is the way to go.
Yeah.
Something that I want to talk about, speaking of the election and all this stuff that we were going to discuss today, I think since we last met, I think it was last weekend, was Halloween. And I took the kids trick-or-treating. That was interesting in our COVID world because, once again, me and D in a small town, we live in a neighborhood that's like super packed. They come in buses to come to our neighborhood.
There's a lot of kids in your neighborhood
gated
too.
community or anything, but it's a nice neighborhood, densely packed. So like more bang for your buck in our neighborhood. So people come from all over to trick or treat, and we were talking 30 to 40 people packed in a bunch on the sidewalk without masks. And of course, some of the kids actually wore masks. Ours wore their mask, and if they had a mask, they wore the mask underneath their masks. So they were covered. But we were constantly just like getting on the street, walking, getting around people. I mean, there's a misconception. I think this was part of some of the issue. I don't think a lot of it is people just being stupid and doing it on purpose. But the whole social distancing and the whole outside thing throws people for a loop. People, I think there's it's misconstrued that if you're outside, you don't have to wear a mask.
Or you don't have to social distance.
I mean, yeah. And that's the thing is like, but people don't get that other part. They miss part B. They go, I'm outside. I'm good. There's wind. It's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, unless you're in a tornado, it's the same as being inside. A sneeze is still going to carry the same distance, yada, yada.
But for some reason, that message wasn't because if you get close enough, they'll put up, if you get like, actually, no, I was getting closer to them and they still weren't putting anything on. I mean, they were not keeping their distance. It's a matter of like, I don't think it was a matter of them just like fighting the man. I think it was them just like, I'm outside. I'm cool. I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nutty night. I don't know if anybody else got to experience trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, Will's trying to say something.
No, well, no, it didn't help. Like back when the social distancing thing started, when on the news people were doing these cute coy stories, were like, "Oh, my neighbors, they drew a circle 6 feet around their lawn chair, and we went outside and we shared a drink together." It's like, hey, guys, like they didn't understand that, magically 6 feet, like COVID goes away.
Yeah.
The message should have been stay in your fucking house. Like, don't leave your house. Just stay inside. But people, I think there's a lot of people that were in denial about being like alcoholics and day drinkers. And they're like, wow, I drink a lot of boxed wine in the middle of the day by myself. I need to have people around me so it justifies my behavior.
It's like this, let me find this picture I posted. How far away is it?
So, you found it?
Yeah, it's what's considered trashy if you're poor, but classy if you're rich. And it's like day drinking, speaking two languages, hard drugs, and tax avoidance. It's like, yeah, if you're poor, then you're a criminal or a piece of shit that does all these things. If you're rich, you're just
sophisticated.
Yeah.
A Renaissance person.
Do my heroin.
So, go ahead, D.
I'll say, do you have like an old person chair behind you with the fake cat on it?
Oh, yes, I do. I have. It's creepy, isn't it? I'll come in the room. I'll grab it real fast. I'll come in the room and look for Macy. That's our little cat that's sleeping here.
Man. I
made this cat. It's a cat pillow.
Is that like your actual cat?
And think she's in a chair, but no, it's just a pillow that we've got.
Why is there an old person chair just like randomly in your room?
Krista found it for like $20 on Marketplace, so she's like, "Hell yeah, a reading chair."
Does she actually sit and read in it?
No, she doesn't. No.
I feel like you want to be lean back a little bit when you read.
I mean, it's a comfortable chair. It's too giving for my fat ass though, so I kind of sink too far. I think I'm gonna break it, so I can't get comfortable to read.
Well, it's good she found it. Well, it's nice that she found a chair for $25 on the shopping thing that some old person that probably died.
Oh yeah,
probably died in it.
Just probably was just farting all day in that fucking thing.
Yeah, you should go smack it and see if just like brown dust emanates from it.
It's like brake dust.
We know it's not from Will's house.
There's not an exclamation mark on it.
So Well, you came up with some things we wanted to discuss today about this election. So we talked about joking about the election night, but since then it is several days after the election. We do appear that we do have a winner. It is Joe Biden and Harris. So, some things. What do y'all want to discuss about it? Do you
Start off the list.
Start off the list?
Unless Will wants to read them off.
I'll do it. All right. Do you all remember how you felt when Trump won back in 2016?
Yes.
Whoever wants to go first?
We'll just go in order of the tiles, I guess. So Barry, me, then Will. Does that make sense? Okay.
So what was funny?
No, wait. We should go alphabetical order. We go Barry, Derek, then Will.
Okay, yeah, that's better.
Okay, go ahead.
What's funny is for the last month or so, we've been seeing Amy McGrath commercials, right? About the anti-Amy McGrath commercials. I'm sorry. Well, they call out that Amy compares Trump to 9/11, right? So when she does that, they think it's a joke and like, oh my gosh, this person's lost her mind. She thinks voting him in is worse than 9/11. Now, mind you, we've lost 5,000 people on 9/11, and we've lost 235,000 since then.
Yeah.
There's that. But in 2016, when it happened, because in this commercial, she's like, "Oh, it was so bad. Like it was one of the worst things in my life," or whatever she says. I felt sort of like that, but not to the point that I did on this election. Like I felt like if he had won again, I would have been much more in the dumps. In 2016, I was like, oh my, who voted this douche in? Like he's a douchebag. Yeah. But I mean, I knew he was sort of incompetent at that time, but now I'm like, no, he's fully incompetent. He has done so much worse than better for our country. There's a few things there are a couple things that he has done that's not bad, but on a larger scale, you can't look at his track record and go, excellent job, A+. What do you think, Dave? Do you think were you crying in the corner?
2016, because as we mentioned before, I'm a Republican, but before the debates, I pretty much knew I wasn't going to vote for Trump just because I can't remember the time, but I just thought he was an idiot and a scumbag and didn't like his opinions and stuff like that. And I didn't like Hillary at all, so I couldn't vote for her. I wound up voting, third party, libertarian, whatever. Not like I said, we're such a red state, not that it matters. But once the debates happened, there were some things he said, and one of them was like on Ukraine and Crimea, because that was not too long after the Russian invasion and land grab. One of the questions he answered there, I was like, all right, there's no way in hell I'm voting for him now. And I remember, when he got elected, I want to say that, I don't know, I can't remember who, between him and Hillary, I can't remember who I wanted in like slightly more, but I remember thinking the president doesn't really do that much. There's not so much, it's not a lot of damage they can really do. They get help checked by power and stuff like that. And there's two things that I was very wrong about. One was how awful of a person he was and how much damage he could do. And the other one, if I can remember correctly, the other one was, I heard all kinds of people, especially, and this was kind of also like early on after he was elected, that he kind of enabled racists and white power people, and he got them to come out of the woodwork and feel like free to come out of the woodwork, that kind of thing. And forever I thought that was stupid, but I don't know if we can all agree, but I think that he's definitely done that because we've seen the rise of that. And it's not like there's been new white supremacists and skinheads and neo-Nazis. It's just they're all willing to come out of the shadows and fucking parade and all that shit.
Yeah.
So how I felt, I was indifferent at the time, but I was very, very wrong.
That third thing you're wrong about was the fact that you thought that he'd be in check, and you didn't think that like Congress, like Republicans in Congress, and would just bow down to him and just like, no, he's great. No, listen, like he's okay.
Well, I remember I didn't vote for him, and I couldn't vote for Hillary, And basically, it was like, because I like Gary Johnson because he was on Joe Rogan's show, and I like Dr. Jill Stein. So basically, I flipped the coin, and Gary Johnson won. And I knew it was I was pissing in the wind, but I also knew that for some reason for a state where we have this as much poverty as we do, there's a whole lot of red, and there's only 2 blue counties, and they're the most populous ones with the highest populations, right? Jefferson and Fayette were the only ones that were blue, I think. Anyway, but I watched the electoral vote go up. I was watching the night, and I remember it was somewhat amazing, just because Hillary, I don't think she realized that she was going to lose until about 9 o'clock that night, because they sent everybody home. I mean, they spent a lot of money. They were going to have like this fake glass ceiling break, and she was going to rise up through it, be all this all this crazy fucking art house symbolism bullshit, and they sent everybody home, and then they announced that he won, and he made his speech, and I was just thinking, okay, you know what? There's nothing that can be done about it. He's in. Maybe he'll surprise us. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. I was like, maybe he won't be bad. Maybe he'll actually do great things and get the economy soaring.
Well, because I mean, the thing is, I think it was Kyle Kalinske. I don't know if you all are familiar with him or not, but he's a great progressive. He has a progressive talk show called Secular Talk, and he was talking about why it's hard to be a third party, because third parties you have to fight to get on every ballot, and you have to get, and if you don't reach a certain percentage, you don't get on all the ballots. So even you need to be on all the states to at least have a shot, right? So, and I was thinking, okay, well, because the Trump that I always read about was this playboy guy that would just make money, he was a gangster basically, but he was more Al Capone than he was Meyer Lansky. He wanted everybody to know that he was a gangster. I'll explain it. Meyer Lansky, he died at 81. He was 81 years old, and he died with a lung full of cancer, like an old man of that smoking generation. Al Capone died when he was 48 with a cock full of syphilis and, being transferred from jails.
Yeah.
But Al Capone and Donald Trump, they wanted everybody to know that they were gangsters. Donald Trump was the gangster businessman. But but I saw all these pictures of him in Club 54, and there's a picture with him and Divine, and I'm thinking okay, well, no Republican's gonna be hang out with Divine, who was a transsexual that was in John Waters movies back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So it's okay, well, maybe he'll say he's a Republican, and he'll get in there, and then he'll go, okay, guys, look, I just said that to get in. I see all these problems. I'm going to change everything. You all are going to be so surprised, and you all are going to wish that you voted for me. But he didn't. He basically, he didn't bend the Republicans to his will. The Republicans bent him to their will. The Republicans, why most of them didn't criticize him, they got everything that they wanted. There's a great book called The Shadow Network, and this lady named Ann Nelson wrote it. And the first 3 pages is all about, it's a list of all these names associated with the Republican Party. And they've been in position for a long time. They started in the early 80s. It's the Koch brothers, Mike Pence, Kellyanne Conway, Steve Bannon, Betsy DeVos, Eric Prince. All these people have been formulating this for a long time, and it worked out perfectly. They wanted Rubio and they wanted Ted Cruz, but the voters didn't. They saw Trump. They're like, okay, hey, Trump, we'll give you all this power. Here's a list of judges we want in. He goes, sure, I'll do it. And that's what ended up happening. It's disappointing. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, is what I'm saying. I wasn't disappointed at anyone, because, a side note, about a year before that, when he decided to run, Sharknado came out. I've probably told this story before, but Sharknado was the highest rated TV movie at that time. And I kind of saw like where the culture was going. That we were like people were purposely torturing themselves with horrible things and then laughing about it, going, "Hey, isn't this great? It's so bad, it's great." And culture, if culture's saying that about entertainment, the same assholes would. I'm pretty sure there's people that voted for Donald Trump that were just like thinking, like, you know what, fuck it, let's see what happens when we set America on fire. Fuck it, I don't care. This is a rental. I don't. It's not mine. I don't give a fuck.
Well, so imagine all the people in 2020 that got on Facebook and was like, "You're only voting for Biden because he's not Trump." But Trump's in office from 2016 to 2020 or 2017 to 20 because he wasn't Hillary.
Yeah.
I punted. I did vote for Hillary because I was like, she's got 4 years. She won't win a second term. I don't know what his politics are. He's such a wild card. Because you had that relationship with the Clintons. You saw pictures and parties and get-togethers where they were a thing.
Yeah.
And then you watch the debate and you're like, there's no love between these two candidates. Like, this is not a show. They hate each other. And so I never knew what to expect from him. I did not like that uncertainty.
I don't think they hated each other. I think Trump created that by just going to town on Hillary. Like, I think they could have been rivals that wouldn't have gotten too personal. But when Trump just, was his ugly self, I think it was, Stu Pargon. It's kind of like, wasn't Lindsey Graham good friends with Joe Biden? Was it Lindsey Graham or?
He's friends with McConnell. Biden is just a Democrat in name only. Like, he's like, if you look at all his policies and stuff like that, he's more right of center than he's left of center. But he's just like, I think he's got the D next to his name because the R's was too crowded of a field.
And then I don't know if we want to keep talking about 2016, but there's an excellent skit on SNL, if you recall, because it's so hard to remember that Hillary was very pro diversity and no, I'm the people's candidate. Because come on,
yeah.
I've never bought that. Bill, I can see Bill being the people's candidate, but Hillary was never that image to me. But there's a great SNL skit. You guys probably remember it when it's the SNL presidential election watch party where there's a bunch of white people hanging out, and they're just like, they got their wine, they're like having a good time, they're like, I can't wait for Hillary to win. And Chappelle's there. Chappelle's the host, I think, of the episode, and Chappelle's like, y'all fucking crazy, y'all don't know what's about to happen. And then Chris Rock shows up, and it's Rock and Chappelle going like, look, the establishment isn't going to let us have our diversity candidate. Like, it's not going to happen.
And we project Kentucky will go to Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, of course he won Kentucky. I mean, that's where all the racists are.
All of them are in Kentucky?
And you have to pull up on YouTube. It's pretty comical. There's something that I thought about that when you asked about the election night of 2016. I thought about that because we were all just like, got our nachos ready to chow down and watch Hillary win the election, and we're just open mouth gasping for air once it was over.
I remember my friend that was like a huge Hillary fan. Like, he donated, I don't know how much, but he never wants to say, but he probably donated, a couple grand to her, her election or whatever. And he wasn't making anything. He was probably making 35 grand a year or some of the time. And I was giving shit for it because I'm like, dude, like, if you donated $2,000, you probably bought her one meal. Like, she probably got a $2,000 steak dinner somewhere off that. But I remember messaging him, and I was like, it's pretty much done. Like, she's won. And then, turmoil. And supposedly, when she found out she lost, she just collapsed, was devastated.
Well, The thing is, considering she's probably the most experienced candidate that's ever ran besides Joe Biden, like this a couple days ago, like she fell. There's an old question. It's like if you're losing an argument, you ask somebody, "Hey, do you still beat your wife?" Like and because there's no real right way to answer that question.
Yeah.
If you say no, then you beat your wife before, and if you say yes, you're like, oh, okay, he's a wife beater. Or if you hesitate, like, oh, he protests too much. Where if you answer too quickly, it's like, look, that somebody's awful defensive about it. There's so many things you can pick apart with it, right? The MAGA thing, I think it's something he stole from Reagan, the "Make America Great Again" slogan. But it was sort of like he was saying, okay, I know what people are gonna want to say here, and I'll have him in a half court trap, like and she fell for it. She went, you know what? America's always been great, right? And all those people, all the coal miners in like West Virginia and Kentucky, whose daddies died of black lung disease, and whose brothers and sisters, like the best they could hope for was getting a job at Walmart, and they had friends that got addicted to OxyContin. They're looking around going, America's been great, what? And then like all those harbors, like like in Detroit and Cleveland and Baltimore, that like all these big industrious towns, like that are decrepit and falling apart because there's no jobs there. They're looking around going, America's been great, and the people in Flint were like, our water is causing brain damage in our children. You're calling this great? And so I mean, and basically Trump set a trap and she fell for it, and he was able to use that against her, and it was a big FU vote. So for somebody who's a novice politician, it was a very, I don't know if it's because of the Steve Bannon influence, or because I don't know if he's that cagey or not, but I can't believe that she fell for that.
When you talk about, I've talked about for years with other people, like, is he that intelligent, or is this part of a master plan? And you mentioned Bannon, and it could be, it's maybe not him, but it's the ones in the closet, at the control panel. Because I mean, it's a masterful campaign in 2016. Like for what he was able to pull off. I mean, because he did not. I mean, go back to 2000. Let's go to like pre-apprentice. Really, anytime before the election, he's not looked upon as generally a good guy, and all of a sudden, he's electable. Like, what did he do? Like what? It's amazing to me that he was able to pull it off, and it's probably partially, in fact, due to his shadow.
Well, the thing is, it's something. Another progressive guy I listen to, his name's Jimmy Dore. Like Biden won, right? Like by a pretty decent amount, but I think he would have won by more if he would just. Well, I'll get to that orange man bad thing policy that he ran on, but if he would have just promised something, he probably could have won more, because that's all. Trump was selling wolf tickets like the whole time, like during his election. He was saying he was going to do all these things, and he didn't do shit. The only thing he managed to get passed was the all those tax cuts. I mean, the wall that he promised to build, there's no wall there. All this other stuff, the infrastructure, nothing got done. But he promised everything, and like he was at least promising people something. They might know he's full of shit, but Hillary was just saying, "Nah, everything's fine the way it is. Here's more of the same."
Like, I'm just gonna win, so like, who cares?
We'll go back to Biden. I mean, Biden couldn't promise things because a lot of things that he was discussing was things that he was the opposite of in his previous past. Now, I mean, like 80 years ago, he felt that like A, not B, but like a lot of things, his past was a problem. I mean, in terms of like, you said you were for this, but you're actually against this 10 years ago. A lot of those things, I think he played it well. I think he played the way he had to play it, obviously, because he did get the win. He got in the end zone, so I mean, it worked. But I think going in too much would have brought up a lot of those bones in the closet.
I think what got him to win, I think, was empathy. I think he showed empathy, and Trump has never shown empathy whatsoever. Just kind of like, fake empathy is very obvious. So yeah, I think he showed, to my opinion, he showed so much empathy, and I think people needed that at the time. But where you guys were talking about the "Make America Great" thing and everything, I think that's which it's a previous recording we don't get to air, but we discussed that, and it's like that's the difference between the left and the right. Is the right can make these great slogans, and then the left you have, like I discussed before, you have Black Lives Matter. I was like, if they had just said Black Lives Matter too, wouldn't have all the issues of people like, what about all lives and blue lives, blah blah, and then defund the police is like the worst slogan ever.
And then go back, you got pro-life, which, yeah, it's not pro-life, pro-death, but like one side's pro-life, it seems like the other side's pro-death. Like death, it just seems like you can't be like, I'm pro-night. Your enemy is going to be pro-day. Like there's, like it's once again, it's a great naming 101 class that the Republicans have been pulling. So, Will, you mentioned Biden essentially being a conservative. Your next question on this thing was, do we all think that Biden winning changes anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it does. Because he's the worst thing a politician can do if he wants to keep his job is try to change anything.
Well, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to keep his job, though, because in 4 years, he's going to be how old? Is he going to want to run again?
I doubt it.
I mean,
I don't know, man. Like, we're in uncharted waters because, like, this is the fourth dude from that generation that's president, and like our president right now should probably be somebody who's in he or she are in their mid 40s to early 50s, where they're still they're old enough where they've got some years, like working years behind them, but they're not quite old enough to retire. Like,
they know how to use a keyboard and mouse and stuff.
Well, yeah, like Clinton, Bush, Trump, and Biden are all around the same age, and they're all from the same generation, and it's something that's kind of embarrassing. Like when we talk about the Supreme Court justices, there's a friend of mine on Twitter, like and he was talking about like how justices should be like a lifetime appointee thing, like. It should be that there's a new one every 2 years, and their term is 18 years. So that way, like, every time somebody gets elected president, they have two whacks at it to get somebody that's modern and reflects their politics. Because it's fucking embarrassing, like when somebody from Twitter or Facebook goes before the Supreme Court, and all these old fuckers that think a computer's still like the size of like a kitchen cabinet. A refrigerator, that they don't understand like technology, and it's embarrassing hearing old people talk about that stuff that don't know what.
Well, it's funny that there's all this push for diversity in terms of race, but then like, where's the diversity in terms of age? It's like, where's the younger person that you get all these people that are making important decisions that grew up when racism was fine, and keeping the black people out of our schools is a good thing. And obviously, hopefully they've all evolved from there, but still, like, you got people that may still have those hangups and they're making all the decisions for us. Like, it'd be nice if there was some diversity with age in there. And I'm not saying, we want a 19-year-old kid in there, but do they all have to be over like 70?
It's the thing that amazes me, and not that I'm ageist at all, but because a person I really admire is in his 80s, and I love him to death. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. But I also know that I don't want that guy making decisions because, like, especially in regards to my life, because how much more time does he, he could be gambling with his time. I can't. Like, how many more sunsets is he guaranteed versus how many more sunsets am I going to experience? That kind of thing. But anyway, no, I don't think that it changes anything. And in fact, this is a gestation period, I think, for the Republicans because they whenever they lose, they rebuild, and they usually rebuild pretty quickly, and they usually come back with. They usually take over everything when they come back. I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, like, I think. I don't know. I think they messed up. Like, again, just running on the Orange Man bad thing because there's a lot. They lost a lot of Congress seats, and like for right now, it looks like it's the Senate still might be a Republican majority. We won't know till January because there's 2 runoff elections in Atlanta, or excuse me, Georgia, but it shouldn't have been that close, and everybody should have been that pissed off at the right that it should be complete. Everything should be blue right now. But what you guys? What do you think?
I mean, so to the question, I agree with you that nothing really changes except something happens to Biden. But even then, it's just a name. It's just a name in the office you're talking about.
You can't say that though, because Trump was just a name, and look what that got us.
But I mean, it was Trump with a name plus McConnell and the machine, and Biden or Harris does not have the machine behind them in terms of like we're going to do this. If people, I met a guy that was a friend of mine that was like, "You're voting for Biden? You know you're voting really for Harris, right? And the whole new agenda, the whole liberal socialist agenda." And he's like, he's going to get in on his like vanilla policy, and then they're going to just move him out. Something will happen to him, and then they will take over. And it's like,
and Nancy Pelosi would be president, right?
Yeah, but then how does that work when you have a Republican-controlled Senate? 6 Republican judges, the Supreme Court, like shit ain't gonna happen. Nothing's gonna change, and it's gonna look like probably Obama term 1, if it's Biden, because his hands are gonna be tied. He's not gonna be able to do anything.
But it's Obama had ruled the roost when he got in there.
Yeah, but he also he didn't grow up here till his 2nd term.
Yeah, he didn't do shit when he had all the power.
Wait. No. That's revisionist history there, Haas. First of all, like, who did he stack his cabinet with? He didn't stack it with, like, if you go back and you watch the Obama and Hillary debates, Obama sounded more like Bernie than he did like Obama the 2nd term. The cabinet was stacked with John Kerry, Biden, Hillary, all these like corporate like centrist Democrats who basically their whole thing is like, yeah, we're just gonna do what the Republicans want because we want to keep our jobs, and like they didn't want to step on any toes. When basically Obama should just went there and went, all right, executive order here, blah, executive order 2, blah. He should do what Trump did, but did it on the progressive left side. I think he was around all those centrist Democrats and got taste of what power and money is, and that's what happened to him. He didn't grow up here his second term. Like he actually lost it. Then that's when I started disliking him because of that 2nd term.
Oh, you can't. I don't think you can go in and just like start throwing executive orders because you want, because that just creates. If Obama comes in and starts slinging around executive orders willy nilly to get past the checks and balances, and then the next Republican that comes in is going to tenfold it, and the next Democrat after him is going to tenfold it.
Oh,
and you don't want to. I mean, obviously Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Trump did it at all.
Yeah, so obviously Trump is the. What's the problem is Trump did it, and it kind of sets a precedent, and you don't want to do that. But
well, no, the thing is, if that's how it's going to be from now on, then fine. Like like that's why if that's new precedent, like I want somebody that's progressive to get in there and start fucking slinging, like okay, look, healthcare for all, student loan debt forgiveness, pot legal everywhere, but they won't do it. Anyway.
Well, for me, I do think things are going to change. One of the biggest things for me was the pandemic, and there's no way that Biden can do worse than Trump did. I mean, Trump did like the worst of any world leader in the any nation leader in the entire world, pretty much. And there is the problem of it's a little bit late to start doing stuff, but like a national mask mandate is probably the most helpful thing. And even if he does like lockdowns, it's a bit late to do that. Like, it would have been infinitely better if it was done early on when Trump was in charge. But at the same time, there's no way it couldn't help. And I think that alone, things will be changed under Biden.
So I'm with you there on the mandate or on the COVID response. But once again, it is hard because you've already got people that Trump's influenced to think that like none of this science is fine. It doesn't work.
Mask mandate, and fucking put them in jail.
Okay, so but then who's going to put them in jail? Officers of law that may or may not follow the orders.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me a small town officer is going to follow a mask mandate when half their friends are like, "Fuck that! I don't have to wear a goddamn mask."
Send the feds in. Do an audit of the police department if they're refusing to obey the law.
My thing is, I'm just wondering what it looks like in January. Because right now we're on pace to hit 300,000 dead by the time he gives up office.
We had what was it? I think it was on election day. We had a record number of new cases, like 125,000 or something.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, no, because we still got about 9 weeks before Trump's out and Biden's in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if let's say it holds at 130,000 a day, which it's not, it's gonna go up because we have 3 social holidays coming up with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's,
and the election, no doubt, was probably a super spreader event.
Okay, well, there's 4 big super spreader events, right?
Yeah.
We're probably gonna have if it's 130,000 a day, if it holds at that, which it won't, it'll go up. That'd be about 6 million new cases of corona. And that's fucking crazy. And we would have to shut down because if we don't, we're gonna have it's gonna be bringing out your dead in Monty Python.
Yeah, I agree.
What do we have we have 330 million, I think.
Yeah,
our population. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For a second there, I was like 33 million. No, that's a lot more than that.
There's got to be a magic number, right? There's got to be a magic number where people that have been denying this go, wait a second, maybe you're right. So is it 300,000? Is it when 300,000 hits, people are like, maybe we should not have been joking about this, and we'll listen to a national mask mandate, or will it ever happen?
But some people will, but at the same time, there's a good article. There are the counties in the U.S. that were hit the hardest by the coronavirus, had the most cases, most deaths, also voted the most for Trump.
What's going to happen in January when that number hits 300,000, for instance, is we're going to get on Facebook and people are going to be like, "Old Dictator Joe making us wear mask."
Yep.
They're turning this into a police state, making us wear masks, and it's just going to get worse.
I'll tell you the biggest change is I don't have to hear Trump say China anymore. I could not stand the way he fucking said that.
Does Twitter ban his account when he's not president?
Yes. Because the thing is, he could push Twitter around back when he had he can say what he wants right now because it's still. It might be inaccurate, but it might be historically significant to have it around. But that Jack Dorsey guy's like, you know what? I put up with shit fucking long enough. And so, because Twitter's probably going to get blamed for being his megaphone for because it helped him out during his election. It gave him a forum and and then his popularity and all the TVs just gave him free advertising. And I think Jack's gonna go, you know what, fuck him. He's gonna do this because all his tweets right now have a disclaimer on it, and it's really funny. Just one says I won the election, and it says some of these facts might be inaccurate, And it's just so satisfying, like watching the responses, because like like everybody's like just like hit back. And my favorite Twitter account, Farts Make Me Come. He follows Trump, and every time Trump tweets something, he'll always say "Farts make me come" as a response, and it's so funny seeing that. We probably should splice it in the video.
So something that we didn't, it's on our list of questions, but where does Trump go after this? Does he show up as like I mean, Fox News is almost done with this shit now too. Like, so does he show up as like a correspondent for somebody, a regular nightly guest on somebody's show?
Supposedly, and this may be a rumor, maybe there's been talk of this, but supposedly he's talking about creating his own news network and grabbing Hannity and Tucker Carlson, the two absolute wretched scumbags of that network, and which they're like the only ones that are, from what I've seen, they're the only ones on the entire network that are like, they stole the election, like there's fraud, blah blah blah. But it's funny, if you go to Fox News' website, on the whole front page, there's not a single thing about fraud.
It seems like it seems like Fox News knows the writing on the wall, and I mean, if you're so news, sex sells, crazy story sell, giant headlines, but
Man bites dog.
Yeah, but eventually you're gonna split the parties, right? Like we have our MSNBC and CNN. It seems like for the left, Fox News for the right, and that doesn't get you ratings. It gets you ratings for your base, but like I feel like Fox is trying to soften their image some. I think even Trump even called them out for like almost selling out.
He's called them out multiple times in like the last year because they haven't just done his bidding and lied for him.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're just kind of like, we know what's coming. Let's make sure we get people to actually watch our channel.
The thing is, it's like I had a Trump supporter, was telling me like, Fox News is the highest rated news thing in the U.S. And it's like, yeah, because they basically have 50% of the U.S. that watches them, and then the other 50% watch like everything. Yeah, because they were the propaganda news network for Trump, 100%. Well, they're like state news in other countries. Go on, Will.
No, but Rush Limbaugh, like he brags that he's the number one most listened to talk show host like in America, which is true. But like his audience is like most of the time it's Republicans and older people, right? He never competed against Stern. Like if he really wanted to like show like how big his dick was, he went on AM. He would have went on morning radio against Howard Stern, or Opie and Anthony, or Bubba the Love Sponge, or something that that like is a fun show. Like we have a Spanish radio station in Lexington, and it's the highest rated radio station because it's the only Spanish speaking station in Lexington, right? So all our Mexican friends and Spanish friends listen to it. Like so that's about how it is with Fox News and Republican viewership.
Yeah,
and like I think there's a network that I keep hearing advertised. It's called OAN, and I think that's because they're starting up right now, and all of Trump's guys were like Mark Lewin, is that his name? Mark Levin. He's this crazy talk show host. I think. Oh man, we might have to edit this part out. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy, he's got gray hair. He's a conservative guy. He was on Fox News about 10 years ago.
Oh.
Glenn.
Oh, Glenn Beck?
Yes, Glenn Beck. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's on the OAN network. And I think I think Trump secretly wanted to lose in 2016 just so he could just troll the Clintons and just spend the rest of his days just being the grumpy old guy on TV that everybody watched, that hate watched because they they either hated him or liked that he talked bad about the Clintons.
Yeah, I mean they are like the epitome of the propaganda network, and so it's OANN. It's weird because they're One American News Network, but then their logo is OAN. That's like missing the second N for some reason. But if you go to their homepage, President Trump, the election is far from over. Lindsey Graham, they're doing a probe of voter fraud. Wisconsin election puts ballots into question.
What about that great counter on the right?
Huh?
What about that great counter on the top right? That's pretty good.
What, the cost of illegal immigration?
Oh yeah, that's going.
Yeah, because that's
Is that take into consideration all the things that they do? Is it, yeah.
You're not a news organization if you're one-sided, and that's one reason I don't like CNN, because CNN is on the other side of things, and my preferred network is Reuters, because they're not fucking based out of the U.S. I don't think, and they're seem a lot less biased than the others.
All you have to do is look. You really just have to look and to say, how are they selling this? How are they spending it? Is it one-sided? Yeah, I'm not looking at the right thing. Because we talked about this before too. I mean, this is still politic related, but like when we talk about Biden, we go, yeah, lesser of two evils. He's not Trump. There are some things that you like about him. He is empathetic. People have posted pictures of him and dogs. Like, that's all you have to say. I mean, it seems like when you love an animal the way that they show in these pictures, you're like, that kid's probably a good dude. Maybe. I mean, people who love animals can kind of skew you a certain way.
What kind of like human being doesn't like animals, which Trump doesn't?
Well, his kids kill him and bring him home for sports. I mean, that's probably like a thing. That probably counts. But yeah, we talk in terms of like, here's a good side and bad side of Biden, and most of the people that support the Trump movement is not that. We see, please pray for Trump. We see pictures of drawings of Jesus over his shoulder guiding his pen. And it's like, dude,
he's like not the most amoral president we've ever had.
Yeah, I don't know of any other president that have slept with more women while being married. He's just a man. He's a man whore.
Who paid for sex from a prostitute, or paid for sex from a porn star? Sorry. While his wife was home pregnant.
You probably got some people that snorted Adderall of their day.
I don't know if even if you're a porn star, if some random person comes up to you is like, "I have money, I'll give you money for sex," doesn't that make you a prostitute?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Well, I don't think the thing is, I might be might be misremembering the story. I don't think she did it for money. I think she was trying to get on the show. And then like the money was something that happened. It's like, oh shit, we can't have a porn star on an NBC show. Here, cut her a check. And they're like, a check, Mr. Trump, you want to write her a check for sex? And I don't know if y'all remember it, but there's a recording between Cohen and Trump about that, where he's trying to talk Trump out of hey, you got to pay cash or pay through a slush fund or something like that, and and basically Trump he's not getting it, and it's almost like that scene in The Simpsons, that Cape Fear episode, where trying to tell, okay, you're no longer Mr. Simpson, you're Mr. Thompson, and and Homer just doesn't get it. That's about how Trump was during that. We might have to clip that in.
Trump's like that a lot.
I think he's talking to you.
Well, what's crazy is I think the next couple years will be interesting because for a million reasons, but for this reason, because of think about all the people that have gotten out from underneath him, out from under his control and power, or that either they were fired by him or they left. The people, so many people that were scared to death of losing their jobs or not getting reelected by opposing him. So it seems like almost every single one that's got out from underneath him has these just crazy stories to tell about how dumb he is, how incompetent he is, and now that he's not president, like how many more of these stories are going to come up?
That you brought up two things there. So the stories are going to be great, and memoirs and everything else that we're going to get out of that, I'm sure. But two, I think he's still got a thumb on him. I think he's still the Republican kingmaker. I don't care what anybody says.
To some, yeah, no doubt.
He's going to rally that base in 2024, and it's going to be his candidate. $1 million if he stays around in politics, which I'm sure he's going to. He's got to have he's tasted the limelight, right? He's always been a celebrity, but he's been the number one celebrity in the world. He's not going to let that go. So he's going to be on every social media, every news outlet that'll have him, and he'll have that base until he dies.
He's not in jail.
Until he gets
probably won't happen, but yeah. What's funny is people are saying they think that part of the reason he lost Arizona was because of John McCain, and I was reading this story that I believe because it matches him because he's such a petty little shit. Supposedly, like way back in the day, I think when McCain was running for president or whatnot, Trump went to one of his rallies, and when McCain was like walking through the crowd to exit the building or something like that, Trump came up to him and like was trying to talk to him, and McCain just like ignored him and kept going. And Trump said, like, "Do you know how much money I gave you your campaign?" And McCain stopped and turned around and was like, "Yeah, see where that got you?" And then kept going. And I guarantee that he hated McCain ever since that. And that's why he was such a shit to McCain. Yeah. And because he's petty enough to be like that, like, "Oh, this person slighted me. I have all this money and power," and he just shit all over McCain. It was Arizona, right, where McCain was from, and he was real big there. So, I mean, there's so many ways that it's kind of like the last election. I always say the Republicans and Trump didn't win it; the Democrats lost it because they threw fucking Hillary Clinton up there against him, and also Hillary ran her campaign like she already won. And then this election, the Republicans lost it because of Trump, because of all the shit that Trump did and all of his decisions, like McCain in Arizona and trying to fuck with the polling stations and reducing the polling stations, and then telling people not to mail and vote. Like Trump threw his own fucking election because he's an idiot.
So going back to the stories that people can tell, to be on the fly on the wall in the Conway's house. Third question on the list is: do you all think that Project Lincoln, co-founded by George Conway, deserves any credit for Trump's loss?
I think a small amount, because I think that their ads were 50-50. 50 of them were pretty damn good, and 50 of them were just like, really, and stupid and petty. But I'd say it may have influenced a few people to change their votes.
I don't. I think it's like, because you brought up McCain, and I said this before we started recording, but like, McCain, like, somehow he gets a pass, but like, he's the one that chose Sarah Palin.
Yeah. And
the Tea Party is because of like the John McCain, Sarah Palin loss, and she was the face of the Tea Party. And if you look at all the people that backed the Tea Party, like Steve Bannon, of course, was he wrote a book. He made a movie about Sarah Palin called Undefeated, and like, it was right after she just lost her McCain lost the election to Obama, and then they put all their eggs in the Trump basket and Tea Party 2.0, and they got him in. Now, a lot of those same people that like were part of the Tea Party, like the Conways and Bannon and all them, they're not going away. There's a funny story about Steve Bannon that was in the news. We'll cover that here shortly. But and Project Lincoln, like they raised $67 million. If they put billboards in New York wasn't going to vote for, there's no, it's not a fucking swing state.
Yeah.
And like, and basically that just, all Project Lincoln did, they laundered money that liberals donated to finance the Tea Party 3.0, who like I guarantee you the 2022 elections, the midterms, they're gonna have a lot of candidates that are there are gonna be there's gonna be ties to Project Lincoln, and they're gonna run from the right, and because that's what they do. Like when I was talking about that network before that were behind Trump, that shadow network, the Koch brothers and all them, the left doesn't have anything like that. The only thing the left has, we have a couple like kingmakers. We have Obama, we have Bill Clinton. Basically, you get to rub off of, not even Bill Clinton anymore because all the ties with Epstein and stuff like that kind of probably didn't help him out. But basically, Obama can give people the rub and they'll vote for him. There's no network on that like that on the left. But I don't think Project Lincoln deserves as much credit as they're getting right now. What about you, Barry?
I agree. So the biggest thing, so I got a few laughs out of me, of course. Like I get on Twitter and that's my bathroom ritual, right? I get on my phone and read my Facebook messages and my tweets, and there's a great material on there. But as a whole, I was already decided. In terms of decided voters, they weren't doing shit to change anybody's mind. And to advertise in New York City is just kind of like.
I guess that's rephrased as like I could see where they may have changed some voters' minds, but I don't think it would have. I don't think if they had not existed, the election would be any different.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I could see them changing 0.1% of voters' minds in some states. Insignificant amount of people.
Well, I got in a fight on Twitter, and I was reading about it. Like a big person that Project Lincoln is endorsing right now is that Ossoff guy that's running in Georgia. That's gonna be they have that election in January. So if they're really that concerned about the future of the Democrats, they should be putting all their money into that election right now and the other Georgia election to try to get the Democrats across the finish line so that they would have the majority of the House and the Senate. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Project Lincoln's finished for now, and they don't give a fuck about anything because Trump's gone. That was their it's like we your wish is granted. He's gone. Leave us alone.
It would be nice if, I don't see any purpose to them anymore other than possibly trouble. So it would be nice if they would just, disband. All right, that was our purpose in life, and we're gone.
So we kind of covered the next question. Why I threw out my future view of what happens, but what do you think the Republicans are going to do now? I definitely think that. I don't know. I kind of feel like the Republican vote right now is just eating up what Trump spits out. He's Mama Bird, and he is spitting into Baby Bird's mouth and feeding them breakfast, and they're eating it up. I don't know what happens. The only thing that would change my mind that he's not the kingmaker for the next candidate, for the next election for them on the right side, is if Biden somehow knocks it out of the park. If we see a kind of a first 100 days New Deal type of setup for Biden, where he's found a way to crush COVID, which, like we said, probably is not going to happen. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that the people that don't believe it, don't believe the hype, are going to continue to not believe the hype. But if he can miraculously find a way to show people what competency is, then maybe Trump disappears. But I think that he's definitely, it's 4 years and he's going to be older. So if he stays in the game, I do think that the Republican Party is still going to be the Trump party. What do you think, D?
I haven't really talked to too many Trump people. There was someone on my Facebook where I always post memes and shit, anti-Trump things, and there's someone on my Facebook that vociferously, I think is a word, Trump fan, and he's buying into all this fucking fraud and illegal votes thing and everything, and I haven't really talked to of my family members and some of my friends are Trump fans. I haven't. I didn't want to go gloat to them or anything like that. So I haven't really talked to them about it because I'm sure they're dismayed that Trump didn't win, and I don't want to be an asshole about it. I'm hoping that a lot of the Trump fans, not diehard Trump fans, just Trump fans in general, or people that voted for him, don't believe this whole fraud and election was stolen and stuff like that. Especially since it'd be different if there was only one state that clinched the win for Biden, but you got several states. It's like, oh yeah, all these people in all these states are all part of the same scam, and not a single person has squealed about the scam or was on the inside working for Trump, blah blah blah. And I hope that a lot of these people are seeing what Trump's doing. And like I said, in my opinion, it's a new low what he's doing right now with claiming voter fraud, saying our democracy and our voting process is bad or wrong, and shitting all over the votes of the U.S. people, the U.S. citizens. I'm hoping that there's a decent amount of the Trump fans that are like, okay, this guy is kind of a scumbag. He's pulling this shit, but I really don't know. Haven't talked to him. Only thing we see is on TV, and that's going to be the zealots. So you can't really consider them the party.
Yeah, good point. What do you think?
No, I was going to talk about that guy Derek was on his Facebook thing. Here's the thing, I hate when people correct grammar or spelling on the internet. I mean, because we talked about resumes and stuff like that before. That's different. Because there's people will say funny jokes on Twitter, but they'll use the wrong there or the wrong your, and all of a sudden you're supposed to just stop the legitimate laugh that that they earn because they used the wrong syntax, right? And I remember the guy was going after Derek. He kept using the wrong your, and I remember I was just like, hey man, I'm not criticizing you, but here's a way you can remember. Say the sentence out loud, and in the place of the your that you want to use, if you can use my and the sentence makes sense, say you are, you owe what, wait, Y-O-U-R. If it doesn't make sense, use the other one.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, and the thing, because I wasn't trying to make fun of him. I'm like, you know what, maybe this guy just doesn't know, or maybe he's just impassioned. And he didn't get a response. I remember getting a lot of laughy faces on the Facebook thing, but I was just like, I'm not making fun of the guy. I want to help this guy out.
Yeah. He got it wrong almost every single time he posted. So it wasn't it was just he was in the heat of the moment at the time or whatever. Yeah. And I try to keep, because he's an old family friend. I haven't seen him for years. I got nothing against him. It's not personal at all.
Yeah.
Differing of politics, and I try to keep everything on point. Sometimes you get a little emotional, but I try to keep everything on point and with the facts. I didn't want to get personal with him or anything like that, and he got so fed up that he blocked me. So it's whatever.
Well, I got a side note. I got blocked so many times on Facebook, because whenever my friends that would lean libertarian were right, would post something about great, now the liberals are in, and I'd go, yeah, liberals are in. First on the agenda, Biden's gonna do executive order. We're gonna kill God, and then the next, they were gonna have fucking buy one get one free abortions. In fact, we're gonna have the subway cards where you get your 6th abortion for free once you get punched. I mean, just because that's what people think, that they're making such a big deal, the guns, God, abortion shit, that if you just go the extreme way, the extreme path, and you see how ridiculous that their arguments are, you kind of deflate a lot of stuff. But most people just block you.
Well,
it's worth it though.
He one of the things he did. I mean, he brought up a lot of silly shit, but one of the things he did bring up was guns. And it's me being a gun owner and pro-gun rights and everything person. I said it's like, yeah, that's something I actually am worried about. Like, I am worried about what they will try to pass against guns. But I was like, but there's so many more things that are more important. And we also got into it about like accomplishments, and the accomplishments from the Trump fans are always hilarious because the biggest thing they point to is the economy, and it's like you do realize that one Obama, and I'm not a huge Obama fan at all, but Obama brought us out of a like a literal Great Recession that hit right before he became president. And in his second term, our GDP was increasing 2.4%. Like GDP increase is basically like one of the easiest ways to like show like how the economy is doing. And it's like, and then Trump's GDP increased. If we ignore the coronavirus and everything like that, Trump's GDP increase was 2.5%. So 0.1% increase over Obama coming from a deficit. And the GDP increase is supposed to keep going up. So the economy, Trump didn't do anything. I can't remember what was the oh yeah, so and he was like, the wall, he built the wall, which Trump did build like a whether you want to call it a wall or not, whatever, but he did actually have a decent portion of land built during his time. But my argument's like, okay, he did something to keep brown people out, but we have 220,000 people dead. I kind of feel like it's a little lopsided against him keeping the brown people out, but then being a party to such great numbers of dead because his actions on the coronavirus were so piss poor and non-existent.
Well, I heard, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, where I might get messed up, but I heard for a while Mexico wasn't letting Americans cross the border.
I don't think they are right now.
I mean, what was that say? And Trump called their country a shithole. It's there's a funny thing. I don't know if you guys don't watch UFC. I don't think, but Chael Sonnen, who's this great fighter, he's a great bullshitting talker. He got beat by Tito Ortiz, and he said something really funny at the end of the fight. He's doing an interview. He goes, nobody wants to lose to Tito because Tito sucks. And it was just really funny how he said it. But he goes, if Tito sucks, I lost him. What does that say about me?
Yeah.
That's almost like Mexico, that's a shithole country. But but that shithole country is saying, hey, you guys are a shithole country. We don't want your fucking dirty Americans in our country. Fuck off.
That's the same as Trump's said multiple times, like, oh, if I lose a Sleepy Joe, what that say about me? Like, if I lose this terrible dunce of a candidate, it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. And you did lose to him.
Next question, number 5. Do you think we have a chance of getting anything progressive done? You've got stuff like healthcare, student loan debt forgiveness, legal decriminalized pot.
I'll just say yes, but limited.
Yeah, I think so too. But
I mean, Obama got shit passed too. The only difference is we're in such an antagonist world right now, where it's like, oh, I'm Republican, and it's like I remember reading a story, and I think it was maybe early in Trump, where all these people from the Senate or the House went out to have breakfast together at Perkins, I believe it was, and there's this young Democrat guy. I'm not at all saying that this is solely a Democrat or Republican thing, but this young Democrat guy, the two sides are together eating breakfast, that like they actually get along and stuff like that. So at breakfast, he's like, "Hey, I got this idea for this. I think we should do this." And this older Republican guy was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea." It's like, "Yeah, that's really good." He's like, "But I'm going to vote against you on it." And the guy's like, "Why? Like, you said it was a great idea." And he's like, and the Republican guy was, "Well, my people voted me in to oppose anything you put up, anything Democrats put up. So it's like that's what I have to do." It's like, wow, so that's what this is. It's not like, some of it is one side of the great idea, and the other side knows it's a great idea, but they are, we have to have our name on it, so we have to do our spin on it, so it's our idea that got passed. It's all a fucking game that doesn't benefit us at all.
Well, you don't want to arm your. If you reach across the aisle, especially in these times,
Yeah.
all you're basically doing is you're giving anybody that's going to primary you or run against you ammunition to go, such and such thinks works with him, and he's for this. Did you send him here to do that? We don't think so. That's why you should vote for our candidate.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Is everything is about getting reelected,
Yeah.
and not about serving the people that put you up there and helping humankind and helping the American people. So yeah, I'm going to say yes, limited, and maybe more limited than under Obama because of the antagonist nature we are in now.
I think going back to that fallacy. I mean, obviously, it's a stupid ass argument. You're like, look at all I built the pyramids with the Republicans. And you go, and the challenger's like, he built the pyramids with the Republicans. I'm like, bitch, you got fucking pyramids out of it. Like, what do you mean that's a bad thing? You got something positive out of this. So I feel like that's a stupid argument to make. The problem is it's realistic that that's what happens. And yes, they do constantly run for re-election. That's you get in just to re-elect yourself. So I agree with you on that. It just sucks that that's how it is. That people they don't think in terms of, oh yeah, that was a good dinner you made me. It was, you're an asshole. I can't eat your dinner. You know, like I make some bad analogies sometimes, I guess, but
Well, no, we saw it with our own election with Amy McGrath. Amy McGrath, even though I thought she was a horrible candidate and she didn't really help out, like, you know, by running on the Mitch isn't getting enough Trump shit done, like, platform, she's never held political office. She's ran twice, but she's never, to the best of my knowledge, held any kind of, like, position like that, right? Andy Barr, when she ran against him, all he had to do was bring up the abortion thing. And she was on the defense, and she couldn't dig herself out of that hole. And Mitch did the same thing, and she didn't help it at all. Like, her whole thing was, I'm a mother and a Marine. That's it.
Yep.
And, like, you know, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but it's amazing because they wasted so much money. If you donated to the DNC, that money was just wasted on, like, Amy McGrath's, like, you know, campaign.
Flush it down the commode.
Hey, about that makeup that she was wearing in those last few election or commercials there.
I did. So the thing is,
she had.
The thing is, like, you know, like, it pisses me off because we could have had Booker. Yeah. Booker, who was this smooth, wonderful, funny, in your face young man, that he would have fired back at Mitch.
I don't think he would have won, but he would have stood a much better chance.
Well, no, I don't think he would have won either, but he wouldn't have lost by 21 fucking points.
Yeah.
I mean, like, go ahead, Dirk.
I would say, like, Mitch knew he was going to win when you watched the debate, and when Amy was going after him about making all this money while Kentucky is poor, and Mitch just starts laughing. It's like laughing in her face. And one, I was disappointed she didn't call him out for laughing. Like, dude, what the fuck are you laughing about? But he's just up there laughing, like he laughs like a big dumb turtle. And it's like, you knew he had nothing to worry about. He's like, he could have got up and taken a shit and thrown it on the table and thrown it at her, and he still would have won by a large margin.
I think the only thing he can't do is proclaim he's bigger than Jesus Christ, and then everything else is golden for him. I think he just keeps winning. He doesn't lose till he's
in for another 6 years, right? So hopefully he'll be too old, if not dead, by then.
Guy, I mean, he's 70s. At least he's in the 70s. I don't know how.
I mean, and then those pictures recently where like his entire hand was black, and then he had all these weird black veins in his face and shit.
Yeah, that was some fucking horseshit.
Yeah, he's got that fucking pack with Cthulhu, and he's gonna fucking
Yeah.
keep applying fresh baby's blood to his.
His soul's definitely rotting from the inside out.
Yeah.
But yeah, my answer to that progressive question though is I just don't see it. I just don't see the Senate. I think the Senate keeps everything in check. Status quo is the status quo. It's going to take a lot for Middle America to eat the pill that's nationalized health care. That's I think student loan debt forgiveness is more of a pipe dream than healthcare is. We just had 230,000, 240,000 people dead, and the worst time, the best time to make a pro healthcare pitch, and that's not what got Biden elected.
Well, no, it's the thing. Biden didn't do anything. What did he promise?
Well, he promised, and by moving someone that's a little bit more progressive in his corner.
Who's more progressive?
He promised. That's not even a promise, but like that's the only thing that he did to say, I'm not just old conservative Joe.
It doesn't matter what he promised. He did promise things, but it doesn't matter what he promised. It's like Will's saying is he's not Trump. He's not the bad orange man, and I don't think that's fully what they wrote on, but that is what he won on. He could have promised every Democrat's wet dream, and the election still would have been the same. In my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree. I think was it you, Will, that was on the messenger here that was talking about if they pitched a more progressive platform that things would have been different?
No, here's the thing. Like, I'm a Bernie bro. Like, I'm a Democratic socialist. I love the squad. I love Bernie. Like, that's what I want out of politicians is what they're selling. And I think that, like, if it been Bernie and Nina Turner, please don't say Thunderdome. Like,
what are you talking about? I don't understand.
If it had been Bernie and Nina as president and vice president, and Bernie would have nationalized health care, try to police reform, student loan forgiveness, legalized marijuana, all these things we could have had. I think because Biden, it was a nail biter. I don't think it would have been a nail biter if Bernie was running, because if you look at the crowds that Bernie was drawing, like in 2019, he was filling up fucking stadiums, and all those people, they were ready to vote for him, and there was some flim flam shit that happened during the primaries, which is weird because the state that gave it to Biden during the primaries, South Carolina, they were one of the I think Trump won by 30% there. So I mean thanks a lot, South Carolina. Go fuck yourselves. Maybe we shouldn't let them be part of the primary next time. But anyway, I digress. But I think that Bernie would have won, because Biden won by 4 million votes. I think Bernie would have won by 15 or 16 million.
I think it would have been. I think the lines would have been. I think it'd have been their Trump election. I don't think that people on the right can buy democratic socialism. The people on the fence are on the fence because they're.
Even have Democrats who won't buy it.
Okay, well here's the thing. And I bring this up. Okay, in Florida, Trump won, right? He won. He won heavily, but also the things the amendments that people vote on. One of the things was a $15 minimum wage, and that got a high percentage of the vote, and it got passed, right? So, and that's something that Bernie was running on. Biden wasn't running on that, and Trump wasn't running on that. So, if the people in Florida, which is as red as a state as you can get, voted that in, and if somebody would have ran on that, they would have won on that.
I mean, I've heard discussion that, and I don't know, like I said, the truth of it, but you've heard about the Cuban population in Florida that were not going to vote Democrat because of socialist aspects. I don't know. Like I said, that was somebody's pitch as to why
Florida.
Trump got it handed to him in Florida.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know. I mean, traditionally, the Hispanic vote I think was still pretty blue everywhere else. I mean, you're going to start seeing more and more of a blue push in the West. That wall that's starting to form.
One of my Hispanic friends, and I don't know if this is true or not, but he's saying that like you can't really put all the Hispanic people together because you have Mexicans that are probably very blue. I think Cubans have always been very red. So
yeah, but yeah.
Well, most Cubans that are in America, they usually vote Republican because they fled a socialist dictator. And
I bring that up because to pass a bill that says or pass an amendment that says $15 an hour, overwhelmingly $15 an hour it makes sense. I mean, there's actual restaurants here that are pushing $12, $13 an hour, hiring now. That's crazy, but that's what the market dictates, and that's where the market is. So to suggest $15 an hour minimum wage doesn't sound out of left field, but to say that can pass and therefore a lot of socialist platform, that's not a socialist platform. I mean, it's a pro-labor thing. Obviously take care of the guys on the bottom, but I don't tie that to a
socialism is usually tied to labor.
I don't tie that to a debt forgiveness. I don't feel that it's this one and the same per se. If that makes sense. I don't feel that that's a socialist platform move per se.
You lost me there, Haas. Hit me with that again. No, I mean just
like the idea of the socialist platform of like medicine for all, free college tuition, debt forgiveness, and then to me over here is a minimum wage increase. It doesn't necessarily go in the same bucket.
Or the same vote.
Like I could definitely
see. The thing is, I disagree with that because usually, like the people that need student loans the most are the poor, and the people that work minimum wage jobs are the working poor. Our minimum wage thing has been the same for the past. I don't think it's went up since like 98 or 99. It's still $7.25 here in Kentucky.
Yeah,
or $7.35. I'm not exactly sure. We'll correct this in post. But everything else has went up. I mean, rents went up. Utility bills have went up.
Yeah, inflation's gone up.
Yeah, I mean, but minimum wage has, and and people say you shouldn't be able to run a house on minimum wage. But the whole idea of minimum wage is it's the bare minimum you can do to get paid to live.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And it's not set up this. Well, here's a starter job. We want you to be disgruntled enough so you either want to kill yourself to keep the job, or try to get management and make more money. And socialism, I always tie it to it's always pro labor, because labor's always the one that gets screwed in the capitalist class. So I'm on that side.
Well, like I said, that's where it could fit in the bucket, but I feel like there's more people that don't understand union and labor history that can go, I can get down for people that make $15 an hour. The living wage is not high enough. And so I think that people can sit there and go, I can vote Republican and support this also. Where they can't, in their mind, they can't vote Republican and for Medicare for all and free tuition. I feel like that's where the disconnect between those two ideas are for me.
Okay, well, here, that actually leads to the sixth question. Here, now that I think about it. The sixth question that I came up with was, how do you feel about the orange man bad being the main sticking point of the Biden's campaign? This ties in with the previous one, but our previous talk about the minimum wage thing. If Biden would have made that like one of his policies, that he wants to nationally raise it to $15 an hour minimum wage, He would have made Trump say, "Hey, I'm against that." Also,
why do they deserve $15 an hour?
huh?
He would say, "Why do they deserve $15 an hour?"
Yeah,
And show his ass. Yeah.
yeah. Then you got him, and that way, like and all the Democrats could have went, "Hey, I'm with Joe Biden. I think we should have $15 an hour minimum wage," and that would force force the Republican that they're against to say they're either for that or they're against it. I think that when they did the whole Orange Man Bad thing, it fucked a whole lot of down ballot Democrats because they lost seats in the House, and and we don't have the majority in the Senate, and on all the things that we wanted, that people were talking about getting, we shouldn't have the Electoral College anymore. The past couple, I think Gore, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. I'm sorry, guys. 2 out of our last 7 elections, the Republicans have only won one out of all of them, and that was Bush beat Kerry. With the electoral votes and the popular vote. The rest of them, Trump won the Electoral College, but he didn't win the popular vote. So, the majority didn't have say so. And also, there's no Puerto Rico and DC should be states, and if they're states, they should also have senators. And Trump's big problem would be, hey, you would never have a Republican elected again, which is fine with me. I don't care. Well, I mean, you should you should have to come earn votes, not just go, well, hey, I got Oklahoma in the bag. I don't have to do anything to just please Oklahoma, that kind of thing.
I mean, I'm an anti-electoral college for the fact that, so if it was just electoral vote, you just got a certain amount of votes, I would say, what's the difference? It's a matter of scale to me, right? So if I forget how much California is worth. What?
Well, no, if you went by I'm for the Electoral College. I'm not saying that it couldn't be made better, but if you went popular vote, then there's 3 places that they would visit. It's California, or New York City and Chicago or something. It's the only places they would go, and so you have big cities determining the future of the suburbs and rural and stuff.
But I'm saying it's a matter of scale, though. So you're still counting votes everywhere else, and in the same way that I don't know how many people are in Alaska, but you get 3 electoral votes, right, for Alaska.
Yeah, and you get 55 for California, so it's still.
But you're still talking. It's a matter of scale, so you're still talking about so many more people in California.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still voting. You're still going heavily to California because you want that many electoral. It's still the same thing. You're going after it's a scale issue. But to me, having electors be able to dissent is why the electoral college is fucked up to me.
Well, all the states have different rules.
But that's my point. Why is it if we all voted one way, the electors could literally vote a different way if they wanted to? If the machine wanted to keep the status quo, those votes could be done. It to me is it's an early American system, obviously. It's one of those things where the founding fathers go, you know what? We can't really trust these idiots to make a decision. Let's make sure we can verify that they do it correctly. And that's kind of how I've always seen the electoral college.
See, I don't like it. And and the thing is, the reason why California and New York get so many, electoral votes is because people want to go there. And I think it should be on the states to you know what, we need to make it so factories want to come here. We need to make it so that we make this a tourist destination. It should the states should have to be on the hook for trying to contribute to because those two California and New York, they probably like the tax revenue that they collect probably funds the rest of the country.
Yeah. But,
So, I mean,
but
like-
at the same time, it's like if it came down to just those three places, say California, New York City, and Chicago, what if they one day were like, you know what, we make all this money, we're gonna start giving it to all these other places. Then you have Kentucky that's already poor, would be even poorer. So it's a dangerous concept to just give them all the power. Like I said, if it was pure popular votes, the people running for president would visit those three places, and everyone else could just fuck off, pretty much.
But the thing is though, like I think it works out like I forgot exactly what state it was, but they compared like one state to California, and like the electoral votes versus popular vote, like that came out of that state, and they said basically that I'm just gonna say Oklahoma, but I could be wrong. They said that like one person's vote in Oklahoma was worth 6 Californian votes, and that's not. I don't think that's fair.
So here's the difference. I just did the math real fast, and I don't know what these numbers are from. These are U.S. state populations. If you take California and New York's population, and I didn't also look at the population of the United States. I think it's 330, 340. I did 330 million.
Yeah.
Those two states account for 17.8% of our population. Their electoral votes account for 16% of the electoral college set. So, like, is it that big of a difference? I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a few percentage points there for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like to me, like I said, it is a antiquated master slave system where
does it have South Carolina's population?
I mean, I can check here. Let me see.
I mean, you also have to look at look at the swing states, and some of these swing states are rural and suburb. It gives rural and suburb a voice, whereas if there wasn't, there wouldn't be these swing states, and it would just be like, all right, let's win these big cities and go home, and the big cities determine the future of the nation.
It probably should be how it is.
But you live in fucking rural and suburb. That means you get fucked on decisions. Why
we get fucked anyway.
Huh?
What did they get? 7? Did they get 7 votes for us? Is that what?
8.
8.
Yeah.
So 8. We have 8 versus 55. Like, it's still, like I said, it's a matter of scale.
Yeah.
And why should Alaska have a voice when it? Let me go down here. Let me just go down to. Let's talk about Wyoming. Wyoming's 578,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why should they get a made up number? Like, why can't we just say,
how many electoral votes do they get?
3.
They get 3? Wyoming?
Yeah.
How many people are in Alaska?
731,000. These are last year numbers.
I don't know. It should be popular vote.
Discussion. It could be a whole episode, though.
Yeah.
We get too in the weeds discussing electoral college.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's move on to the next. But no, I don't think that like the Orange Man Bad thing was a good idea. I mean, like it probably screwed a whole lot down ballot Democrats. I mean, they didn't help themselves out because like a big thing that they're trying to do right now is that they're trying, like, all these people are saying, hey, all right, well the left, like, we need to not say socialism, and we need to not be so left. We need to start going toward the center. But all the left that like won seats and re-won their elections, like AOC and Omar and stuff like that, they're all for socialism, like socialistic, like, democratic socialism policies, like the healthcare and stuff like that. AOC won, Ilhan Omar won, Cori Bush won, Susan, is it the one with the dry erase board? Is
we talked. I can't think of her last name. But you're making a point about local versus national. They're living in areas that will put them up. But I don't think Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, any of the Rust Belt, they don't want to put them up. They don't like their policies. There's reasons why, like, people make shit up memes about, like, wouldn't it be great if they just didn't exist tomorrow? If we just woke up and someone just shot them in the face? Like, that's why those memes exist, because they don't like them there. But when there's areas that they do love them, they're going to continue to vote for them. That's why I'm like, I don't think Bernie beats him by 16 million. I think it's
Well, okay, but here's the thing though. You just said something, and like it's kind of puzzling to me. I mean, when I said like like the rural people basically go fuck themselves, like that's exactly like like, oh, we don't like your socialism, even though like they might be on like food stamps or drawing unemployment, which are like that's socialism. That's why I don't give a fuck. Like their votes shouldn't count. Fuck them. Like they don't want anything new, and if they fall for like, I'm ashamed of Kentucky, because like like basically Andy Barr and Mitch McConnell both got elected and reelected by just saying, "Oh yeah, she's for abortion, even if the kid's 14 months old." Like and nobody believes that. Nobody's for that.
Amy's for car door smash and abortion.
I think that I feel like Mitch and Barr both got reelected a lot because they backed Trump, and Kentucky was going to vote Trump. So I think every single person. Let's see, we were 62% Trump and 36% Biden. So I think just about every person that voted for Trump probably voted for Mitch and Barr. And but I mean, how many shit lords have we gotten out of Kentucky? We got Mitch. We have who's the guy with the curly gray hair? What's that fucker's name?
Rand Paul.
Yeah, Rand Paul, which they're saying may be a presidential candidate in 2024.
Nah, he got shot, man.
I don't think so, but it's
all his opponent's gonna have to do if he gets to that point where it's like like they're having a presidential debate, all the Democrats gotta do is just bring his fucking neighbor in, and that will intimidate Rand Paul.
But the thing is, so it's like forever. I feel like Kentucky, we've tried to fight this whole we're nothing but like backwards rednecks living on farms. Because like whenever like you watch TV and it'd be like a movie or like I remember I think it was Road Rules came through Kentucky, and when I was real big into that show and early days of MTV, and I guess it's late days, whatever. Anyways, and like all they showed was like fucking farms. It's like, motherfucker, like we're not like all farms. But now it's like I think we've gone past Kentucky being seen as like nothing but farmland and backwards rednecks in no shoes, and now we're seen as the place that spits out fucking Rand Paul and Andy Barr and Mitch McConnell that have a lot of, especially with Mitch and Rand Paul, have a lot of influence on the nation.
Like I talked about the COVID numbers. What number, if there's a number that exists, turns people's heads around? Same with that. When you're talking about welfare, poor education.
Dude, I was looking at local news like WKYT or something, and it was where they posted about how, I think it was the day before, the day of election day, we posted a record number of new cases. And in the comments, one of the most popular, it was on Facebook, whatever, one of the most popular comments was someone saying, "Oh, ironic, this is right before the election. Like this was some kind of scam to make the Republicans look bad right before the election, as opposed to just being the fucking facts."
Yeah.
So yeah, we have. I don't think any number matters. The only thing that matters halfway, I'd say 50-50 with some of these people. I'm talking about the people that don't believe in the hardcore Republicans, don't believe in the virus, don't believe it's as bad as it is, think it's a hoax, yada yada. I think 50-50 of those people is whether it hits home or not. And you have all these people that like oh, I didn't believe it till I got it or till this person got it. And then you have all these dumb shits that like, you got their history of posts like, I'm not wearing a mask. You can't tell me to wear a mask. Like, they're just trying to control you. And then they have their fucking obituary. They died of COVID. And
Well,
I'm sorry, I laugh at those people. Like, fuck them, idiots.
I mean,
Well,
it's weird that Biden. I mean, it's not official. We've got some issues and stuff that they're going to work out, court cases. But it's weird that we still had 126,000 cases yesterday when it should have went away. I thought that once he was elected,
As soon as he got elected. Oh yeah, it's
we would have zero
Biden's
cases.
fault now.
well, did y'all see that thing, the Matt Gaetz thing?
Yeah.
It was so fucking funny because I remember he was the first one that made fun of COVID back in April.
Yeah, he wore a gas mask.
Yeah, and and then he tested positive for COVID.
Well, did you see the most recent is he's like, I didn't test positive for COVID. That's all wrong. I tested positive for the antibodies. It's like, motherfucker, that means you had it. He probably had it, was mostly asymptomatic, and just went around fucking spreading it. As a scumbag.
And a side note about that too, I'm kind of pissed off about this whole COVID thing because I thought it went after like the obese and people that didn't take care of themselves, like that's what I've been kind of worried about because I'm a fat guy. But like, how did Chris Christie survive?
Shit.
I mean, when I heard that he was out of the hospital, I was fucking mad. I punched my wall because I'm like, how the fuck did he survive?
Have you noticed that he's changed his tone on Trump since that happened, though?
The thing is, everybody that that has a brain, and Christie's smart. Giuliani's stupid. Like, you can kind of tell the smart ones from the stupid because the smart ones were like, oh shit, the Trump train's about to drive off the fucking cliff.
Yeah.
If I jump off right now, I might have a broken leg or a damaged hip. But if I stay on, I face certain death. And there's people like Giuliani that they're riding with Trump the whole way.
Yeah.
Christie, was like, okay, well, I'm gonna tuck my tail and run, and in a Machiavellian way, he'll probably still be involved in politics somehow, even though he sucks and his name's tainted. But he survived. I mean, like roaches and syphilis, But I was so fucking mad when I read that. I was like, come on, man. Come on, COVID. I just bought my Team COVID fucking shirt.
I think him getting COVID kind of turned him away from Trump more than anything, though. I mean, yeah, you could have to say that he's being smart by getting off of the sinking ship, but like after he got it, he was like, you should be wearing masks. I should have worn masks. Everyone should wear a mask, which no matter what people say is totally against what Trump's saying. Trump's always like, oh, people should wear masks if they want to, but then he never wears one. And, that's another discussion. But,
well, didn't somebody, wasn't there like one of his press people get test positive?
Yeah.
Somebody in the circle, I can't remember who it was. I think what you all might have posted it. It's not important.
Well, did you already bring up that was your final question? Actually, was did all of Trump's lack of management of COVID help Biden win?
100%.
I think we touched, 100%. I think as you talked about, I think it was the empathy factor. I mean, it's night and day. It's night and day where you've got a guy that's like, here, I'm here for you. When in that first debate where he just turns, Trump's over here yapping, and Biden's like trying to figure out where all the voices are coming from because Trump's all over the place. And he just says, Americans, we need to make sure that we don't, each family doesn't lose a loved one, or however he words it. But he pretty much says, like, I'm here. We're going to believe science. We're going to follow this. We're going to follow the protocols.
Look at Biden. Did you watch Biden's speech last night?
I didn't.
Did you watch it, Will?
I heard part of it, but I was at work, and he came out. I heard. Did he come out to Springsteen?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I heard that in the background. Like, he came out to a Springsteen song, and then I heard him talking, and then I just got slammed because it was right before beer time.
But no, his and I saw a funny thing that was like, oh, look at this flex, and Biden came running like out to the stage. It was like a decent distance that he ran to get to the stage. But anyways, you should take a look at the difference in what Biden's speech was and what Trump's would have been if you won. Like Biden, it was all about unity. It's like, it's all about like, we're going to attack the coronavirus. We're going to, do whatever we can to get rid of it. We're going to, bring people together. It's like all you, what is it? 71 million people that voted for Trump. He's like, I'm going to fight for you as well. Where, Trump was always like, oh, the governor of this state doesn't like me, so we might not get to give them aid. And, it was all about unity. It's all about progressing, moving forward. Obviously, some of it's like democratic ideals where Republicans wouldn't like whatever, yada, yada. But in my opinion, if Trump had won, he would have gone up there. He would have shit all over the Democrats, the other side. The 70, in this election, the 75 million people that voted for Biden. He would have been like, oh, they tried to steal the election, but we didn't let them. And like, we prevailed and blah, blah. It would just been pure antagonism and pure division of the country. And more than anything right now, besides the coronavirus, we need unity of people. But what were you saying, Barry?
I was just saying, like, no, he'd have been up there and be like, it's still fraudulent.
Yeah.
Because I should have won by 90% of the vote.
Yeah.
He would have still been on the same platform if he won or lost.
Like only won by like 17 electoral votes, but if it wasn't for the illegal votes in China, I would have won by like 40 electoral votes. Heck, not even more. We're the best. We have the best electoral numbers of all time.
Yeah, I need to see from you, since you become our video editor. I need you to do a Trump speech and Beatles girl fans mashup video where he talks about some shit and all the girls are like, oh my god, ah! Like they're all crying and screaming. His MAGA hats on. But yeah, no, yeah.
But yeah, I think that I think it 100% higher than that. If it made sense that Trump's management of the COVID doomed him. If he had fucking did like, it was either Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember which, that did like 100-day lockdown and now they're pretty much virus free. If he had done like drastic measures early, like I always said, drastic measures early, so you don't have to take them later, or you have to keep taking them later over and over again. If he had fucking destroyed this coronavirus, like knocked out of the park, hell, he might even gotten my vote. As much as I dislike him, probably not, but
now
he would have won easily if he had knocked the coronavirus out of that park. The fact that he did like the worst of any world leader or any fucking, I guess world leader is the right term, nation leader in the world, fucking doomed him.
I mean, his policy on making fun of the mask, and the American spirit that it's my freedom that you're taking away from me by me having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. The only thing that I don't, if he did the lockdown, we're America. You can't compare us to smaller developed countries where people aren't coming here and people aren't going there in droves like they're coming here, right? Like people aren't going to like Norway like they're coming here. I mean, there's travel, but you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Like this country is a bastion for the world. Like they come here. So to sit there and say, if he locked it down, it would have lasted a little bit. But I think the biggest thing he could have done was just embrace the mask and embrace the science behind it and go, we're going to try this. This is what they're saying is what's going to work. That would have went a long way because his shadow now is what's going to, it could loom over Biden's administration, like we talked about. He's not going to have a chance to flatten the curve per se, because for one, the people that are against him already believe that he has. Nice.
There we go.
The people against him already believe that it doesn't work. Two, it's against their freedoms. They're going to look upon him as a fascist, some brutal dictator that makes them wear a piece of cloth around their face.
Because Trump wasn't a fucking fascist dictator.
Yeah. But that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to hurt him. But the answer to the question, though, I mean, we just talked about Orange Man bad. It was Orange Man bad about the COVID virus. So I mean, I feel like that piss poor management of COVID is exactly, as you said, the reason that Biden's in and Trump's out. Well, did you already respond?
No, I just like that. It's amazing that somebody fucked it up. Like I didn't think that it's possible you could fuck that up on purpose. Like I mean, you have to try to fuck up that bad. I mean, like, and like and when you try to play catch up, like after, and I said it before. I said it when I was talking about when my dad died, that like trying to do all that shit, like like after it's already started, is like trying to put air in your tire while your car's running, like like while you're driving. You can't do it. It's next to you can't. You gotta hang out with the hose and try to unscrew the little thing and put. It's not gonna work.
Challenging our viewers, Will?
Huh?
Are you challenging our viewers to do that, Will?
Hey, if you voted for Trump, I dare you to try this, pussies. Do it.
Nah. I was gonna say on the interstate, then we'll kill other people.
Yeah, but no, there's no. I don't know that lady in New Zealand. I think she's the prime minister of New Zealand. She got it under control. I mean, it's $100 might seem excessive, but like I saw
$100 or 100 days.
Did I say $100?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 100 days. Forgive me.
Yeah.
100 days may seem like a bit excessive, but it only works when it starts feeling like it's kind of overkill. That's about the time when it's starting to work. It's like antibiotics. Like if you have like a 10-day script of antibiotics, you're not gonna magically feel better after day 2 and just go, yeah, fuck it, these things don't work, fuck it, I quit. And like and that's basically like how our lockdown worked. We're like, it's been 4 days, so fuck it, we're good.
And it wasn't even really a strict lockdown either.
Nah.
I mean, like you're saying is New Zealand, like they locked down. They had like an 8 p.m. curfew and stuff, which would be awkward for Will.
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. Like, again, and I've said this before. I don't know on any of our podcasts that's actually been made air, but I'm pissed off at the lockdown. Not that it happened, but that I didn't get to enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a stack of video games and movies that I've been dying to get into, and the only thing that stops me is that I have to sleep and I have to go to work. And like, if I could stop doing one of those, I'd be the happiest man alive. And the lockdown seemed like it'd be the greatest gift ever. You just stay home, you eat when you're hungry, you go to sleep when you're tired, you wake up when you're not tired anymore, and you watch Netflix and play video games all fucking day. That is heaven. I mean, like, I can't describe a more perfect life for me. Maybe get laid every once in a while would be nice in that situation.
What about having a couple Rugrats running around, Will?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I needed. Like, babies that shit everywhere and fucking cry all the time.
They're just like you. They shit everywhere.
Yeah, but I clean my own shit up. These
That's true.
babies are fucking useless. Fuck them.
Some bear used to say that babies are useless.
Yeah, I never liked babies. Babies are a lot of work, but I got to step in right at the right time. Something that's not on our list, and probably our final question of the day since we're running here. Transition. How do we predict the transition is going to go? Assuming all this plays out, I mean, obviously people are like, voter fraud is not really happening. We'll look at it, sure, but assuming that Biden is our president come January, how does the transition go?
My hope is that Trump refuses to leave and the military or the police or military escort him out in handcuffs while he throws a temper tantrum and stomps up and down on the ground and everything. And
so I was going to add that, well, Derek's thing, the reason I was going to cut in was I was going to say, based on his whole history of living on the blood and sweat tears of others, do you see him going, I'm not moving, and then a massive protest shows up in front of the White House to keep people from like you're going through us if you want our king out of his office throne.
I think Trump's too big of a coward to really stay in that long.
Yeah, that could be true too.
I the thing is, the ideal thing for me would be like, you know how they used to like in the '80s movies when they show like hooker bust in like movies where like they'd have like the hookers and the johns and they all be zip tied together and they'd be a cha-cha line into the police station. That's kind of how I want to see the Trump administration lead the White House. Just zip tied and just being pulled out. It'd be great. Just like, and like just do like the hardcore evictions, because I know him being a property owner, he had no problem just tossing people out. Just go in there and just start throwing his shit out the windows, like just and like just dump like just wiping shit off the desk into boxes, all the KFC boxes and buckets and Adderall bottles and stuff like that.
Now,
Just
isn't it like normal where the like didn't Obama's portrait go up during Trump's presidency? Isn't that how it works?
It's supposed to be like that.
So one thing that I think would be hilarious, and this would be like one of the few, maybe one of the only things that I wish Biden would do that would be unpresidential, would be like, yeah, we're not putting Trump's portrait up. Sorry.
I like the idea that they buy one of the cells from the Family Guy episode and put that as his picture up with like the crazy hair and like the little hands,
like the orange painted face.
Yeah.
Well, there's a book about Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. It's called Devil's Bargain, and I just not bring the thought about this because every president has a library, and like and I can imagine Trump's like like reading any books at all, but like and there's this great part in that book where Steve Bannon's a really smart guy. He reads a lot. He studies history. Like, as the story I'm going to bring up here in a second will show. But, like, he was trying to explain populism to Donald Trump. And, like, and one of the most populist presidents that we ever had was Andrew Jackson. So he gave Trump, like, 8 or 9 books by Andrew Jackson. And apparently, like, he goes, great, I'll read them. And, like, he read, like, the introduction to John Meacham's book about Andrew Jackson. And it's funny because, like, they're trying to secede back in his time, but he stopped it. And Trump read that as, hey, Andrew Jackson stopped the Civil War 20 years before it happened. And, like, he just completely misread the book. And I just can't, it made me laugh thinking just, like, what his library is going to have in it.
Now,
It's gonna have like his son's book and like
that. It's gonna have like menus to McDonald's and Burger King in it. Did either of you all watch Game of Thrones?
I watched the first couple seasons, but I was moving at the time and I got lost.
So Will probably saw it. Barry's just the biggest fucking loser ever. That can't be bothered to watch a good show.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what terrible shows you watch instead of it. But anyways,
I watched Boardwalk Empire instead.
Hey, Byron in that show. Where the guy from a Simple Man was he Meyer Lasky or was he Charlie Luciano?
I can't remember.
Sorry.
Sorry, D.
It reminds me of the Joffrey wedding, which I can't remember if that was in the first 2 seasons or not. But Tyrion gives Joffrey as a wedding present this like huge book, and it's like all of the intelligence of like the previous kings for you. And Joffrey acts like, oh, like you can't really tell that he's being sarcastic at first. It's like, oh, this is a very great book, thank you, Uncle. And I mean, Joffrey hated Tyrion, so Tyrion's kind of like, what the fuck? And then I think the next gift he gets is like a sword made from like it's rare steel in the world, and so he takes the book out and puts it on the table and uses swords to chop the book up. It's like that's what I imagine basically with Trump, with like giving him like proper fucking books.
Anyway, the the Steve Bannon thing. Did you hear about this about all, Barry?
What, the Fauci thing?
Did you hear about it, Barry?
I don't know. Go.
It's fucking crazy. Steve Bannon had a podcast. I think it's called The War Room. And he was talking about Trump, and he basically said, yeah, Trump's going to get reelected. He goes, and his first thing that he should do, and he goes straight out of Tudor England. He goes, we've been ahead, and he said Dr. Fauci, and he also said the guy from the FBI. I got it written down here, Christopher Wray. He talked about beheading them and sticking their heads on the pikes and putting them on the White House lawn.
Yeah.
And apparently he violated the terms of service of Twitter or Facebook and YouTube because they yanked it off. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's been
just
permanently suspended from all those things.
I mean, it's amazing that somebody that was he worked in the White House. I mean, he had an office like about 15, 20 feet away from Trump, and he still threatened two government officials on air.
All right, I'll say one last thing, but who knows how many last things will be after this. But one last thing I want to mention is Trump, with no evidence whatsoever, claiming all this fraud and illegal votes and blah, blah, blah. How is that not the exact same as yelling fire in a movie theater? Like, he's sowing discontent. He's possibly inciting violence, obviously from his side. How is that not the same thing?
The thing is, it's the same shit he got away with on Twitter all those years.
Yeah.
Where historians that publish it could say it's historically significant to have this here, which I don't think. Hate speech is still hate speech.
Yeah.
There's screaming fire. There should be consequences if there's no fire.
Yeah. Well, it's like was it the 60 Minutes interview where I can't remember what he retweeted, and he's like, "That was a retweet. That was a retweet. I didn't say that. I just put it out there for people to look at." And it's like, fuck you, dude. You know exactly what you're doing. You got your fucking ignorant. I'm not saying all Republicans, all people voted for them are like this at all. Not at all. But you have a percentage of them that are dumber than fuck. They drink his Kool-Aid. They believe everything he said. And when he retweets something that's patently false, they fucking eat it up. And they believe it. And they believe that fucking Democrats are drinking the blood of babies to keep their youth and shit.
I need to see. So I finally got into, Hereditary. And then same guy that made Midsommar, right?
Yeah.
I need him to tackle for the next picture the Democrat and take all the mythology that the Republicans believe to be the real Democrat and make a horror movie based on it because it's so ridiculous.
Have you ever watched American Horror Story?
I've seen parts. I've not seen
the first one was actually really good. They're kind of hit and miss. The different seasons are completely different stories and worlds, and some of the same actors, but not always. But they did one that was about like the election and about Trump and stuff, and it was actually pretty good with regards to politics. I mean, it was mostly shitting on like neo-Nazi zealot Republicans, but
yeah. Will, any final words today?
I'm not happy that Biden's in. I mean, I'm glad Trump's gone, but I'm not.
Well, it's like you had one option or the other, so.
Well, no, but the thing
you don't
is,
have to be happy about it.
Well, no, but here's the thing, and again, I think I'm gonna attribute to Jimmy Dore because, Jimmy Dore's one of my heroes when it comes to this kind of shit. He said something like, if it's Trump, you got stabbed by a 12-inch knife. If it's Biden, you get stabbed by a 9-inch knife. You got 3 inches less stabbed, right? But you still got stabbed. And he also brought up the point that like when bombs are being dropped on other poor nations, in all these bullshit wars, the people before the bomb hits them, they're not going to go, "Oh great, the lesser of two evils bombed us. Great." So that's why I don't like I hate that Biden's in there. I hate that is it Kamala?
It's Kamala,
I don't.
right?
Kamala. I don't want to say her name wrong, but I hate that she's being considered progressive. When her whole gig before she got into politics was she was a prosecutor, and she gleefully went after single mothers that whose kids were truant, and basically threatened to put them in jail and give their kids a charge, so they're already in the system, ready for when they become adults, to go through the revolving door of the jails, for no, just somehow she's considered progressive. She's a socialist, and I can't figure that out.
Isn't that the epitome of pretty much worldly politics, where it's like, hey, I'm this person, and it's like, well, your history doesn't say so, but we'll vote for you anyways.
Well, here's the thing, Biden's that crime bill thing, that it was crimes against black and brown people. I mean, it went after them disproportionately, and he was proud of that. And
I think it's one of those things that was hindsight where I don't think he's proud of it anymore, and they realized it was a mistake. But at the time, it seemed like a good idea.
But the thing is, there's some things you shouldn't just go, well, that's probably a bad idea. All those thousands, potentially millions of lives I ruined. Yeah, it's probably a bad idea. There's no probably to it, asshole. It wasn't.
Whoopsie doodle.
Yeah, there's no. All those people who lost years of their lives in jail for bullshit charges, they don't get those back.
Nope.
So I'm not happy about this Biden thing. I'm happy Trump's gone.
That's sad that he won.
It's not. I'm pissed off because it should have been Bernie.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole Orange Man bad thing is not. It worked this. It's a good trick and it worked once, but it worked once. It's gonna work only one time. You can't. Once he's gone, and hopefully he's gone, you can't go back to that well. I mean, that well's there's no more water in that well.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what the next 4 years turn into.
Yep.
Hopefully, we're all still alive.
And we got it without Alex Trebek.
Yeah, no, Alex Trebek died.
Yeah, what was? I'm glad nobody on Twitter did the joke who is the one person we don't want to be dead for 400, and it was Alex Trebek, of course.
But you did it for us.
Yeah.
I mean, does he have any enemies? Everybody loved maybe Sajak. Maybe Sajak wanted when it was out for him, but no. I mean, who? He's one of those people that it's Trebek. It's just
Also, just did his job and didn't fucking stray out from it to piss off people from one side or the other, on any side of anything.
Very human dude. Very human.
Well, you want to give us your classic sign off, Mr. Will?
Well, yeah. Wear a mask and don't be a cunt.
All right. We good, boys?
Till next week.
Yep. See ya.
Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike didi ashata.